CT, and then he's all-inning you. All right, here we go, guys. The game has started. Let's jump into it and introduce our players.
All right, guys, we are here. Tefel versus Sting, game number 1. The map is going to be Cloud Kingdom, spawning over here in the bottom left-hand corner as the red Terran player, playing for Western Wolves, formerly of NS Hosio. Let's see what he can do here. It is Sting. And his opponent, the brand new Zerg addition to Team Dignitas, famed for playing a metric ton of online cups where he does unbelievably well on a regular basis. I have cast so many games of this guy right now, I could almost do it in my sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, Dignitas Tefel.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about Tefel?
I mean, I actually think that Tefel's style is, at least in a lot of the online cups where I've seen him play, I almost want to say nondescript, because he does the really standard Zerg builds, mostly admittedly against Protoss that I've seen, because we have a lot of Zergs and Protoss for some reason in Play M cups of late. He does them so unbelievably well that he just out-macros even really good GM opponents in the late game. And we've seen him do it time and time and time again. And usually when you see him enter an online cup as a direct result of this, it's unusual not to see him in the top 3. He also has very good scouting normally. So when Cheese pops in, he sees it relatively quickly, and he's going to possibly have to scout a little bit here in this first game as Sting opens with 2 racks at his wall-off.
Well, you know, Tefel has actually gone for pool first, so he's done his homework, and he knows that Sting is a player that is more likely than not to cheese you, because, guys, hatch first is the standard of this matchup. But this is an 11-12 racks. It's placed in a position where he can fall back easily. It's not too proxied.
Yeah.
But then again, it could be scouted a little bit later because of this. But playing against the pool first of his opponent, this attack probably will end up doing not much at all.
I think so. I mean, we even have the Overlord already actually only spotting 1 barracks there. So he hasn't seen the second one yet, but he can work out that some aggression's kind of incoming here.
I mean, just seeing 1 racks in that position, no one's going to make 1 racks right there. That doesn't make any sense. So he should know it's a 2 racks play. And in fact, this is going to confuse Sting a little bit. That is SCV going to be under attack already. And I don't know how much damage he's going to be able to get done with this rush.
Oh, he's coming out with some drones as well. Tefel determined to completely push this back immediately. SCV building the bunker does get taken out very, very early indeed. A couple more Marines are going to be joining the fray, though, and Tefel will be pushed back. But that bunker gets destroyed without a cancel, Artosis, and he's going to have to start that all over again.
That's rough. So, I mean, right now, this is a great spot for Tefel to be in. Sting continuing to make some Marines. And I wonder if he's going to go all in from here, or is he going to back it up and make double command center? Because those are the only 2 things that follow up 2 racks. You either go double command center, or you go all in with like a crazy amount of Marines and SCVs and stuff like that. But normally it's a double command center.
We see Sting here lifting up one of his barracks to check if an Overlord is in that location, but Tefel actually has it behind the mineral line here. A couple of Lings going to be popping in to see if they can do any damage, but Sting already has his Marines back at home. He's got a total of 8 of them out on the field at the moment against 7 Zerglings, so nothing Tefel can do at this time, but he's going to be feeling pretty confident here now that he has injects going at both hatches. Yeah,
and while he's adding that 3rd rack, sure, he's continued to make Marines. Hold on, going down to 1. We'll see in a second here, because if he keeps on Marines, oh my god, he's adding 2 racks. Okay, so very likely we're going to see a big all-in follow-up that's going to be really hard to stop if you don't have Banelings out. You know, Roaches could be kind of helpful. Of course, if you have a bunch of Spines, those are going to be helpful, but the fact that he's going up to 4 racks is, man, this could either be just a mass Marine SCV pull, or, well, he is getting a gas too, so he might even tech up a little bit further.
Yeah, well, like you were saying before, the logical conclusion to, oh, well, it looks like I've managed to hold up this 2 racks, he's probably going to go for a 2nd and 3rd command center. And Sting, being as unpredictable as possible, decides, well, actually, I'm going to follow this up with even more aggression. He will get his, obviously, his natural expansion up and running. He's not going to go for that 3rd command center, though, and his Marine production is now going up to 4 at a time. Yeah,
that's a lot of Marines being produced. He is getting a single tech lab now. This will be a little bit telling. Does he start Stim, or does he start combat shields? because it's going to be two different types of rush, of course. Now, sometimes we've seen people do like Marauder Marine stim timings where you kind of spread out, and it can be pretty hard for Zerg to stop. Of course, if he gets combat shields, he just wants to buffer more damage.
Yeah.
It upgrades quicker as well, but we'll see in a moment.
Well, the other catch, of course, with Stim is that ideally you want to be rushing out to those medevacs pretty soon, because unless you kill your opponent with the first rush and the first Stim, you have no way of healing your units when you actually get down there. So it's going to be very difficult for him should he choose to do that. And I think for that reason, we have Sting in this situation picking combat shields first as Tefel moves across the map.
And in fact, now that I see what he's doing here, and oh my god, gets a kill on the hatch instead of a cancel. But now that I see what he's doing here, this is just like we saw him do against Ender, actually, in the bracket stage. So, you know, he's going to put on a lot of pressure this, but this is a lot of speedlings out, and he's going to have to hide for a little bit behind these minerals.
He needs to be a little bit careful here. He doesn't know for sure if Tefel has maybe gone for a Baneling Nest, for instance. So he might not want to be too committal there as the Marines get into a great position behind that watchtower. And I think... Oh, this is going to be so close, but I think they will clean the Lings up because of that positioning there. Those Lings only able to attack one Marine at a time.
You know, I thought for sure Tefel would kill those off as he surrounded them, but Sting with his nice moves gets behind there. And that's going to be a little bit frustrating for Tefel, who, by the way, I love his tech route here. Getting that +1 carapace right off the bat, realizing he's going to need it with his heavy Ling composition, and starting the infestation pit immediately against someone whose tech is so late. That's going to be great.
Combat shields has just finished for Sting. He's pushing it onto creep once again. The Zerglings are caught a little bit out of position here. They're around where the third base is. They're going to be popping in from behind, but Sting, of course, does have that extra hit points on the Marines now. And like you mentioned, Artosis, Sting has tried to put on a lot of early game aggression here, but while he's been doing all that, Tefel's just been teching up and up and up.
Yeah. You know, this is the thing about this type of build. If you can pull this off, like Sting is right now, your opponent's going to have to make a lot of Zerglings, which slows down his drones heavily, and that's so annoying because Tefel just has not been able to build the economy he really wants. You know, he's barely ahead in drones. It's 50 against just 43 SCVs, so there's nonstop SCV production as well. So the economy here has to actually go to Sting. He has a better economy, and he's got a very strong army that's building up for the late game.
He's also getting a siege mode for some tanks as well and going straight into a starport. So there's no hint at the moment of a third command center popping down for him. And we actually see +1 armor queued up in his engineering bay as well. So this could be the start of basically a mid-game timing attack kind of play with a couple of siege tanks popping out from Sting. And with the number of Marines he has out and no Baneling Nest for Tefel, this could be really good.
Yeah, I mean, this Sting's playstyle here is very strong. I mean, you have to know exactly how to fight against this. He does have his infestors coming out, but he might lose his third base before then, and that's so bad. What a bad situation to be in. Oh, God, this is so brutal to watch. Poor Tefel here having the hardest time with the way Sting is playing.
He does actually get the cancel off on the hatchery this time, but that is of very little consolation at this point. Ideally, he wants to get that third base up so he can really power out those higher tech units, and he's just unable to do so as it currently stands. He does have decent upgrades, though. He's got 1-1 with a +2 carapace incoming to be a little bit more flexible. As the Lings now going to be engaging the Marines down at the bottom of the ramp. Those Marines are stim. Tefel, very nice. Picking up 2 infestors there. Dear, oh dear, but look at how much Sting has stimmed here. Massive overstim, no medevacs, of course, anywhere in sight, and Tefel cleans it up.
Well, you know, eventually that Marine army had to go down because of the tech route and how aggressive it was being. But he has that double factory to fall back on, and I feel like with that double factory play, he's going to be able to pump out so many siege tanks and do a really strong push across this map against a very delayed Zerg economy.
Yeah, Sting's really just been powering out units rather than get his third base. But at the same time, Tefel's been constantly trying to get his third. So Sting's been able to win a lot of those mini engagements there, and that's really frustrated Tefel to the point where, yeah, Sting, okay, is getting his third command center a lot later, but that's just completely fine in this situation, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, here we go. Sting stimming in. Can he force another cancel? Oh, there is an infestor. He targets it down, and this is just getting so cost efficient.
There we
but
go.
Yeah, that's what he needed right there. And with the second, he will clean that up. And finally, 14 minutes into the game, Tefel will secure his third base.
One thing I do have to say about that engagement that was so good for Sting, even after the Marines were fungled, the Infestors kept moving forward from Tefel. Sting saw that immediately and still targeted down an Infestor. Sure, it just used fungal growth, so it didn't have much energy, but how many has he picked off in this game now? 6, 7? He's done so well.
Yeah, it's getting up there, man. Well, right now he is pushing across. In fact, Tefel just canceled his fourth, knowing there's just no way to hold on to that. With this many siege tanks, closing with Lings or Infestors is going to be very difficult as long as Sting pushes across carefully, and that is exactly what he's doing here.
+2 armor is going to finish in about 10 seconds, so if we need... Oh, very nice. We have a little bit of a run by at the third base of Sting as well, but that'll give those Zergs a little bit more resilience. We'll see if he can hold it off. The attack at the third does get cleaned up. 5 workers killed to 3 in this game so far, but the real battle is going to be at the third, where Sting has dug in deep with his tanks.
Yeah, and oh, look at this. I mean, he's being so cost efficient right now. We do have more Lings and Infestors on the way, but what really has our Terran player lost? He has 4 tanks up here, more on the way. He has 38 Marines total, 4 medevacs, and fungal growth plus Zergling is not going to cut it at this point.
No, and he's been unfortunately throwing small clumps of them away as well. He's been engaging with 5 or 6 Lings at a time that just get promptly cleaned up by siege tanks. Sure, you're picking off a few Marines, but like you mentioned, I almost want to say it's not so much Sting being cost efficient as Tefel being cost inefficient, unfortunately, and a lot of Infestors lost as well. The remaining ones, fungal, infested Terran rather, but it's not enough.
All right, so we have Sting taking that first game very decisively. You know, the way that Sting plays in this matchup that we've seen a lot so far in this tournament, just the constant pressure with the Marines, it messes with all the normal timings of Zerg. You know, the normal timings of Zerg are created to play against normal Terran play, but this isn't normal Terran play. This is heavy Marine pressure with more Marines out on the map than you would ever expect. As I was saying, you know, if you go 2 barracks rush, you always follow up with 2 command center, because that's how you get back into a normal, good economy. Instead, he adds 2 more Raxes and gets even more Marines to keep denying that third. Tefel just wasn't ready for this stuff.